This wasn't exile. This was construction. You thought you were being abandoned, but heaven was rebuilding the temple, and you are the temple. Was it a breakdown or a breaking open? Was it isolation or was it initiation? You called it delay, but what if God called it design? Stay until the end. Because what you're about to hear may explain why everything was stripped away, why your voice went quiet, why the people disappeared, and why your soul feels like it's standing in the ruins of something sacred. You were not just forgotten, you were separated, so heaven could begin again. Welcome to Chosen One's Prophecy, where the hidden are revealed, where the scattered are summoned, where the temples in ashes are rebuilt for glory. Haggai 1:8 says, "Go up to the mountain, bring wood, and rebuild the temple, that I may be pleased and glorified." But before God builds the temple around you, He rebuilds the one within you. So stay, because the signs that are about to unfold may explain your entire life. Marked by silence. The signature of the set apart. You were marked long before the noise began. Long before the betrayal, the quietness, the confusion. Heaven had already written your name into a scroll sealed with fire. Chosen ones are not marked by applause, they're marked by silence. When God set you apart, He didn't announce it to the world. He whispered it in the womb. Like Jeremiah, He said, "Before I formed you, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Not for popularity, but for purpose. That's why your rejection wasn't random. It was recognition in disguise. Your silence wasn't a void. It was the voice of God, clearing the noise so you could hear only Him. You weren't overlooked. You were hidden beneath His wing. And now that wing is lifting. What happens when the silence becomes unbearable but God still doesn't speak? Let's go deeper. The hidden chamber. Why God made you rest. You weren't just pulled aside. You were placed inside a hidden chamber of divine recovery. God is not a taskmaster. He is a builder. And builders do not decorate ruins. They rebuild them. Your body collapsed. Your relationships cracked. Your passion dried up. But heaven was watching the foundation. Just like Elijah under the broom tree, when exhaustion overtook the prophet, God did not rebuke him. He let him rest. Then He fed him. Then He called him. This was never laziness. It was sacred restoration. You were not behind schedule. You were being recalibrated. Comment 424. If your rest felt like ruin, but your spirit now knows it was holy alignment. The question is no longer, why did I stop moving? But, what was God preparing me to carry next? Torn down to be rebuilt. The sacred demolition. Before the temple is rebuilt, the ground must be cleared. God saw what was hiding in your old structure. The pride you couldn't see. The attachments you didn't question. The wounds you pretended were healed. So He shook the foundation. This is why everything you leaned on began to collapse. The friendships, the job, the ministry, the reputation. It all had to go. Not because God wanted you empty, but because He wanted you ready. Just like Job, who had to lose everything to find the voice of God again. You weren't being punished, you were being purified. Because what's coming can't be built on contaminated ground. Can you feel it? That hollow ache in your spirit? It's not loss, it's room. Room for glory. The temple is you, a vessel for glory. The temple you're rebuilding is not made of brick. It's made of surrender. God didn't isolate you to build a platform. He isolated you to build an altar. Your heart is the sanctuary. Your mind, the inner court. Your tears, the incense that rises. 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, "You are not your own. You were bought with a price." And now the architect is reclaiming what already belongs to Him. You weren't sidelined. You were sanctified. This is why the old version of you couldn't survive the isolation, because only the consecrated can carry this weight of glory. But before you step into fire, you must confront what's been trying to burn you down. Marked by hell. Why darkness fought you early. The warfare started before the assignment even made sense. And now you know why. Hell does not chase the average. It chases the anointed. The moment God marked you, hell marked you too. That unexplainable depression in childhood, the torment in your dreams, the abuse that kept repeating. It was not just trauma, it was targeting. Satan doesn't waste his fire. He reserves it for threats. Like Moses, hunted as a baby. Like Jesus, stalked by Herod before he spoke a word. Like you, battled by spirits you never invited, simply because of who you are becoming. But here's the paradox. If hell hit you early, it means heaven marked you first. So don't deny the war. Name it. Confront it. Because what survives the fire becomes untouchable. And now, you're almost ready to build. Blueprints from heaven. Receiving your divine architecture. In the quiet, the instructions came. Not loud, not public, just small whispers, dreams, burdens in the night. What you're carrying is not ambition. It's assignment. Like Noah, building before the flood. Like Nehemiah, repairing walls others ignored. You've been handed divine blueprints. But they require a new rhythm. Obedience over urgency. Clarity over chaos. Holiness over hustle. Exodus 25:9. Make this tabernacle exactly like the pattern I show you. This is your pattern, not theirs. So stop copying the noisy. You were called to carry something sacred, and sacred things are never rushed. You are a gatekeeper. Authority rises from stillness. When the temple is aligned, authority awakens. You'll notice it. The room shifts when you speak. The atmosphere bends when you worship. Heaven listens when you pray. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. God has given you access to places others cannot go. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Like Esther before the king. Like David with a stone. Like Paul in prison. Your stillness became your sword. You were not delayed. You were being entrusted. The gates are opening now. But are you ready to walk through? The remnant awakens. You're not alone. You thought you were the only one rebuilding in silence. But across the earth, in bedrooms, caves, hospital rooms, prison cells, others have been waking up. They too were isolated. They too were called. And they're listening now. To the same frequency you just heard. Romans 11:5 says, there is a remnant, chosen by grace, and you are part of it. You're not just rising for yourself, you're rising with a generation. What God is doing in you, He's doing in many, and the sound of your rebuilding will echo like thunder across the bones of dry nations. Echoes of the rebuilt. What you carry will multiply. This temple isn't just for you to dwell in, it's for others to encounter God through. You are not just a survivor, you are a blueprint. Your healing will heal others. Your story will stir awakening. Your rebuilt spirit will host generational change. This is the paradox. You were isolated to become a house. Now, others will live in the shelter of your obedience. Haggai 2:9. The glory of this present house will be greater than the former. And your temple is almost ready. You thought you were falling apart. But heaven was fitting the last stone into place. The silence wasn't a delay. It was God pressing His finger to your lips so He could write His name on your heart without interruption. You are not who you were when the isolation began. You are the rebuilt temple. You are the resting place of glory. You are the sacred space where heaven now speaks. The war came early because the weight you carry is generational. The stripping was deep because the structure must last. And now, you are ready. You have been sealed in silence. You have been restored in rest. Now you are rising as a revealer of holy things. This is your prophetic decree. You were hidden. You were rebuilt. Now you are the house of His glory. If your spirit knows this word was confirmation, comment 7/7 as a sign of agreement, that you recognize the isolation was always part of the blueprint. Tell us below. What part of this journey stirred your soul? What did God whisper to you in the ruins? Subscribe to Chosen One's Prophecy and stay connected to the Remnant Rising, because your story isn't over. It's echoing now through nations, timelines, and generations. You are not alone. You are the next echo.